Hi everyone, this is Emilie at NDSP Plan Managers, and today we're going to continue our series on the NDIS called Easy as Pie. Now I'm not gonna lie, I had an incredible sugar hangover after the last pie, so today I've decided to go for quiche instead, which is actually in the oven as we speak. But don't worry, it's all still going to make sense too. So I just wanted to, I guess, carry on through the document that we were working through. And we've actually got to the section now where we're really looking at budgets. Now, I guess one of the main things I want to emphasize is lots of different people could be building your plan, first of all. So you could have an early childhood partner building your plan if the participant is a child under 7 years old. You could have a local area coordinator or LAC building your plan, or if your circumstances are really complex, you may actually have a planner within the NDIA building the plan. So different people, right? And they really need a system to build a plan. Otherwise, they're just plucking random figures out of their heads and random supports. That's why you might see certain things, I guess, prescribed or clearly written, 12 hours of this, 5 hours of that. That helps them build the plan, calculate things. That is very different to spending from the plan, and that's quite a confusing point because a lot of people say my plan was built with 5 hours of gardening a month, so that's all I can do. I can't use that for anything else. I can't do more than 5 hours. This is not the case, and there are actually a lot of inbuilt flexibilities to how you spend the money. So that's a really important point. Building the plan is a process. Spending money from the plan still has rules, still has things to look out for, but has more flexibility. All right, so back to the quiche situation. I'm gonna start on the page here, which says core supports. All right, and there are 3 budgets to an NDIS plan. The core budget is one of those, and I would think of those as essentially your the staple of life, so anything that is a real day-to-day, things like personal care, transport, sort of low-level purchases that you just might need to buy, continence products, for example, attending groups regularly, social access, help with cooking, help with cleaning, just the day-to-day stuff, right? That is your core budget. And so, I'm just thinking about my quiche right now, but I'm European and I was born in Belgium. So essentially, breaking down my day-to-day, it's all gonna come back to cheese. So here we are, core budget right here. For you, this might be fruit because that would be more sensible. But for me, European, cheese is our downfall. So here we go. The day-to-day glory of the NDIS plan. Now, after the core budget, you may have what's called the capacity building budget, okay? So capacity building supports, there are, similar to core, there are lots of different subcategories in capacity building, and the purpose of that entire budget is sort of what it says. Building your capacity, building your skills, increasing your ability to do various things that you've sort of stated you want to do in your goals. Okay, so I'm gonna take the good old vegetables for this section of my quiche. I'm vegetarian, so, except when I'm having a cheat day, but mostly vegetarian. So look, it's gonna be veggies for me. You do what you like with that, but essentially your vitamins, your minerals, things that are gonna, you know, help you grow, help you thrive, and build your skills. Capacity building. Finally, you may or may not have a capital budget. Now, thinking capital, this is quite, I guess, more significant investment from the NDIA, and it's really often very structural things, you know, large equipment, home modifications, you know, that type of thing would sit under the capital budget. So here we are. Oops, wrong way. Oh, it's the same both ways. Sorry. Okay, so the flour is gonna be the structure of my quiche. I'm just gonna check it for a second to make sure it's not burning. Okay, we're good, we're good. The quiche is doing nicely. Now, so here you have your budgets essentially. You've got your core staple to get you through your day-to-day. You've got your capacity building to build your skills up, and you've got those larger, you know, more structural elements. Large equipment can be things, yeah, like wheelchairs. It can be even things like, you know, expensive hearing aids, things like that would sit in capital. That's capital. So 3 budgets, and underneath those, categories. If you take the core budget first, there are 4 categories sitting in core, okay? They are assistance with daily life, assistance with social, community, and economic participation, consumables, and transport. Essentially, the core budget is flexible. So if you have $3,000 sitting, you know, it might be written in to your core budget as assistance with daily life, $3,000. But in 6 months, you realize, oh, actually, I really need some money towards social and community participation. You can move that funding. And as a plan manager, we also can quite easily shift funding in between those core subcategories. I'm just gonna add a few little exceptions, which are not always obvious, because a lot of people say, core is flexible, I'll just do anything. So yes, start with the yes position, but just a few exceptions. If anything is, first of all, a stated support, if it literally says the words stated support, and then, you know, a very common one is preparation and delivery of meals is really very often it's stated support. I don't think I've ever seen it not stated. You can't use that money for anything else. You must use it exactly for preparation and delivery of meals. So that's one exception for the flexibility. Also, transport for children, first of all, is generally not funded because it is seen often as a parent or guardian responsibility to be transporting your child. So bear that in mind. And then also with transport, if you are paid a fortnightly installment directly into your bank account, transport is then not flexible either. So if you're 18 or over and it doesn't specifically say transport, just consider that your core budget is fully flexible if the total amount is plan managed. That essentially is the core budget for you. So those 4 subcategories, and those are the flexibilities and limitations on spending from there. Just a quick word on consumables, I guess. This is for the off-the-shelf stuff, but it can be low cost, low risk assistive technology, which is often abbreviated to AT, so low cost, low risk, AT. Now this forms a huge part of the queries we get at NDSP. Can I buy this? Can I buy that? And often there can be gray areas. I'll go into the gray areas a bit later. Low cost under consumables is an item that is $1,500 or less. So you're not limited to $1,500 total ever. It is per item. Please know, specifically for telehealth devices, because everyone always thinks of telehealth devices, the threshold is $750. So telehealth aside, in core, $1,500. All right, and the low risk is important. That's the other one to highlight. So sometimes people say, oh my gosh, this is only $1,000, so I'll just buy it from Consumables, right? And then it turns out there is a risk associated. Okay, so capacity building, here we are. Bring in my little spring onions back in. So there are 9 categories in capacity building, and unlike core, you cannot move money between categories. That is one of the key differences. So no moving money between categories, but you can be flexible within a category. Now, for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure of opening the support catalog, there are 851 line items in that catalog. Like, ooh, this is great. There's so many things. So they're all individual line items, right? And yeah, every one of those 851 lines sits in a category. So in capacity building, a very, very common category that you'll see is improved daily living. Basically, that means therapy. And this covers things like occupational therapy, speech therapy, physiotherapy, psychology, counseling, dietitians, and also certain other like peer mentor skill development. So this one says occupational therapy 26 hours, speech therapy 60 hours, physiotherapy 20 hours, podiatry 4 hours. Very clearly stated, right? But all of those are under improved daily living. If it turns out at the end of the day that you need to spend that entire budget purely on physiotherapy, totally fine. Not a problem. Again, just because it was built a certain way doesn't mean you can't use it a different way if that is really truly where the need ends up being. Just bear in mind, anytime, and this goes for anything, anytime you're moving hours around, moving money around, the total figure doesn't increase. So if you need to increase your physiotherapy to an extra 40 hours, that's 40 hours less of something else. So just a really important thing when you're budgeting, and also when you're talking to the service providers, when you're talking to your therapists, at the start of the plan, you might say, this is what I need. And if 6 months later you think, nope, got that wrong, let's revisit that. Just remember to tell the therapists and all the providers, because they might think there's enough money for what was originally agreed. And if you're reshifting things around, keep them in the loop, basically. Simple as that. In terms of plan management, I will go into that a bit more later on, but in terms of plan management, we do sit in capacity building, and certainly the majority of NDSP Plan Managers is a client engagement style of work. So we have loads of people putting in invoices and paying for things, but we have many more people answering questions, increasing knowledge, running trainings, talking to providers, talking with coordinators, LACs. Yeah, so we sit in capacity building, and just to confuse you, we're called Improved Life Choices. Okay, so those are the flexibilities within capacity building. Now, another important one, support coordination and recovery coaching will always be in capacity building as well, just so you know. And so that brings me to the last budget, which is called the capital budget. As already mentioned, this is really for higher investment stuff, large equipment. It could be things like home modifications or specialist disability accommodation. This is often abbreviated to SDA, and that's actually the bricks and mortar of a house, like a roof over your head. Now the other thing it can be is higher cost, higher risk assistive technology, or AT. So remember, we went into consumables and how part of that is low cost, low risk AT. Capital is then over that threshold for anything that's high cost, high risk, or high cost and high risk AT. Okay, so for example, specialized hearing devices could be easily in the capital budget. Now, in terms of flexibility, a lot of the capital budgets is stated if it's a specific piece of assistive technology, like it might be an entire system in your home that talks to you, to turn the kettle on, and you can get talking microwaves and things like that. They will just say stated item and then the money. Sometimes what happens is the NDIA will essentially approve a type of support, but they might not know how much it costs yet. So they'll actually put it in the plan as approved. So for example, the one I'm looking at says, my quote required stated support will be pressure care cushion and orthoses. Okay, so that means, we agree, we think you need this, but we don't know how much it costs. So please send in a quote. Sometimes they will want 2 quotes. So just double check with them. They'll probably let you know how many quotes they want. It should be 1 or 2. And certainly from the plan management side of things, we might see that you have an approved item, but until you have actually sent the quote into the NDIA and it has been approved, no money comes up on our end. So we do occasionally bump into issues where we will get an invoice and the person will say, look, this item's been approved, can you please pay the invoice? And we'll say there's no money in there. Even if we wanted to, we just can't access the dollars to pay the invoice because the quote hasn't been approved by the NDIA in the background. So just a little insight into why you might be coming up against a few hurdles if it's something like that. Good, okay. Bring this in, complete the picture. I think that's it for now for how to use the budgets and where the flexibilities lie. But I will do a part 2 because there's a whole other situation around really figuring out, is this, would the NDIA approve this spending? Would they consider this reasonable to spend my money on? So yeah, that'll be part 2 coming very soon.